Peace, love, and light, everyone. Trazana Staples here. I want to try to make this brief because I don't want my voice to go out. As you can remember, if you tuned in last Friday, um, I was nursing myself back, and I eventually, after the live broadcast from Instagram with the AVM superhero, aka Greg Graham, I had laryngitis. And I knew it was coming. But anyway, that's beside the point. But after that conversation, I had several questions in my inbox, and a couple of my stroke survivors called me. Um, and I addressed this, I think, in some previous videos, but we are into the holiday season, and that is another topic. And many people find themselves suffering from seasonal depression, feeling alone, especially after a stroke. And how did I get out of that? Well, for me, depression is not a quote unquote. It's part of mental illness, I think, and I'm not a psychologist, and they can correct me on that. It's a feeling of you don't even know, but I knew that I felt depressed after my stroke because I really thought that I was going to be able to walk out of the hospital. I never thought about my life never being the same. Eventually I did get out of the depression, but it wasn't instantaneous and it didn't happen all overnight. I think it took me about a year and a half to embrace the fact that this is a new life for me. And with this new life, I have new possibilities. So I had to embrace my new life. And it didn't mean that I had to forget my life prior to the stroke, because I had a marvelous life prior to the stroke. But the stroke allowed me to view life in a different form, accented with what I lived before, how I lived before, and um, the fond memories in the past, especially from my childhood. When I was little, I lived in a house with my grandparents, my mom, my aunt, her family, and um, 10 of my cousins. And we live in a place called Kennedy Heights in Ohio, Cincinnati. And we had like 2 acres of land. And my grandparents came from the South. So my grandfather was a master farmer. And we had apple trees, fruit trees. We had rabbit houses. My cousin, Dreamer, my cousin Jab, Eric, Monique, rest in power, Monique. We used to play in my grandfather's garden and play in the rabbit houses and climb the trees. And I was always one who was fond of wildlife and fond of nature. And ironically, I became a master gardener, but it didn't take it took me a long time to figure my love for nature out. I knew I liked nature, but it took me a long time to realize how precious life was through the soil, which actually got me through law school, environmental law actually. But those are the fond memories that I remember, along with many, many other fond memories that kept me from going back into that depression. I had to remember those things to get out of it. And I still do. And then I do things like listen to music, have arts and crafts, talk to people, which is my passion to help people. And so now I'm able to help them because I am living my life through transformed eyes. And hopefully, my experiences and my knowledge from what I've learned about my stroke recovery might help someone. It's not a end all. I'm not saying anything that I do is perfect because you have to take your life in your hands. Talk to your caregivers, talk to your health professionals, and determine what's best for you. But at the same time, don't, it's good to reflect back on those happy times because those happy times will help you graduate from the sad moments that we have. I'm thankful for my life. I'm thankful for my experiences. I'm even thankful now. I'm thankful for the stroke because I've had another chance to inspire others. And I hope that this makes sense. And I hope that I'm inspiring um, my fellow stroke survivors, my fellow caregivers to let you know that is not having a stroke is not the end all. It can be the beginning of a new way of living. It all depends on how you think, and it starts with the thought. So, if that makes sense to you, please feel free to send me a message to ask me more. But I think that is pretty much how I um, don't sink into a depressed state of mind. I embrace who I am. I embrace my stroke. I embrace my stroke recovery. And with doing that brings me happiness. And I remember the the love and the jewels that were poured into me as a child, as an adolescent, as a young adult, that made me who I am and who I am now. That and it has made me um, a, a phoenix rising. So that's all for today, all for this week. Continue to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Embrace who you are. Embrace the love that's poured into you, even if the only love you think you have is the love of yourself. It's called self love. So, my name is Trazana Staples, and I had a stroke. I am a stroke survivor. I am a phoenix rising. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And peace, love, and light.